G'day subscribers, today we're going to talk about how I got started with the FJ Holdens. You're with Jules Knight on Jive Talking Garage. So let's talk about my first car, and that's all we're going to deal with today on how I got started with it. At Fairland Street, Mount Gravatt, where my dad built our second house when my mum was very sick. I was an only child, and at the top of the hill in Hathaway Street was a mate of mine called Mark Costello. Now, Mark was and still is far more mechanical and gifted than I am. But being two only children, we did a lot of stuff together and played football and went on outings and hung around. We would be on our bikes and would be pursued by his black Cocker Spaniel Snoopy all of the time. Anyway, so Mark started an apprenticeship as a motor mechanic at the Caltex at Holland Park, and one of the first things that he did pretty much after he got the apprenticeship was his father got him into an FJ ute. His dad had black FJ utes, and as subscribers will know, my dad had FX and FJ before he went to FC and then Valiants and so on. So a lot of Holden influences there. Mark got this ute. It was a really nice, strong ute, structurally really, really good. It needed a paint job, but it was a little hot, as in lumpy hot, and it needed a lot of finishing off. Now, I don't think it got finished off, but it wasn't uncommon for Mark to break an axle or break a gearbox or whatever. And this is before we even had licenses or anything like that. And his father would say, "No, I'm going fishing. That car better not move." Well, the car would be parked like that when his father left, and the car would be parked like that when his father came home in the garage. But anyway, look, long story short, I helped Mark with a lot of things with the car, be it gearboxes or HR disc brake front ends and stuff like that. I had two left thumbs, and I was pretty useless. I was pretty okay at just going and getting things. But it kicked off an interest for me. And probably the smartest thing that I could do in me wanting to get one as well, determining that I wanted to have an FJ ute. And so I went to the Warwick Roundup with Michael, Emil, and one of our other mates. Took a couple of FJs up there. Michael's dad's FJ 215 and Emil's 56 Ocean Miss ute. And that was really good. But on the way back, we were coming through Bundamba and Ipswich, and Michael sort of said in passing, "Oh, there's a nice FJ ute there," and was like, so that was October. And long story short, I had a look at a sedan, and I was interested in buying it. But Michael said to me when I went into the canteen, because this was at the taxi depot, and he said to me, "Look, if you want a ute, get a ute, but you're limited to what you can do as far as fixing it up and restoring it," because I wasn't very experienced. So he said, "Look, we went past that one at Bundamba at Ipswich, but you didn't really see it." So I had Dad's CL Valiant, so it was a matter of starting up the Chrysler and putting the air conditioning on a few days before Christmas. I think it was like the 22nd or something of December. So we went and had a look at it, and it had moved from being in a sales yard at Bundamba to around the corner to the panel shop where it belonged, because it was a panel shop ute. And Michael had said to me that it had a big Holden logo on the side, a lion, but by the time I saw it, it didn't. And that's fine. Anyway, so the bloke who was selling it was called Horst Effenberger, and he was the panel beater at Bundamba, just near the creek. And he said, yeah, sure, come and have a look at the car. It looked really, really nice. Tonneau cover. It was a black interior. Now I'm not a fan of black interiors, but that's fine. Everything was there. The brakes were supposedly done. The engine was refreshed. The gearbox was done. The rear axles, everything was done. So I bought this car, and within 9 months, I had to do the brakes, the gearbox, the engine, and the axle seals, and the timing gear as well, believe it or not. So anyway, long story short, just before Christmas, about 22nd, I said, can we take it for a test drive? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he grabbed the keys, kept the keys in his hand, says, hop in. Now it's $2,500 today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. And long story short, look, it was worth it. It was a really good car. It did have a little bit of rust and Italiano Bondo used on the sill. One sill was pretty good, one sill was pretty bad. There was 2 repairs ultimately that I had to do 7 years later in one door and 16 in another. But the body on that car was really, really straight. I had that as my primary driver for 3 years, so from December 81 through to pretty much June of 84, and then got a panel van that I made into a NASCO panel van, and then probably about 86 I got a HD X2. But getting the other 2 cars allowed me to take the ute off the road, and it wasn't until about 1985 did I get an interest in NASCO or understand what NASCO accessories were. And you become insatiable as far as knowledge is concerned, and it was just a matter of getting out and going to the Sydney Super Swap or the Newcastle Swap or Bendigo or any of the places, because you never know what you're going to get. It's a bit of a jumble sale. So I was able to gather a lot of things, which was great, and I was putting away for that ute all of the parts that I needed to rebuild it. So that car was rebuilt with new old stock, and also it had a new old stock engine as well, that I bought at Breakfast Creek from the slipway there, where the boats come in and out. So I took the car off the road in about 85. 1988, I had a friend coming over. He was a panel beating apprentice, and for like $20 an hour, he was just helping me here and doing things like welding and helping me with the things that I couldn't do or I hadn't learned to do yet. And then he would tell me on the Saturday, well, it'd be good if you could, put it in spray putty and then put guide coat on it and then sand it. So, when he'd come back the next Saturday to have a look at it for 3 hours, well, it would be a case of, things would be done and minimal welding had to be done to that car. I put 2 sills on it and did repair of the doors and the guards, but that was pretty much it. Not a great deal of sandblasting, but that car, I was able to pretty much get it done on the cheap. It was great, like, all the new front suspension, running gear, all that sort of stuff in it. It was great. Will Skirman did the interior for me ultimately. So 1988 was when I was doing all this, and I had to hibernate it because end of 88 I bought a house, and the house I bought didn't have a garage, so I sort of put it in a shed for a little while and just stored it, and then I had to build a carport at my house, at my new house, to bring it to. So building that allowed me to have a place to bring the FJ to, so I took it straight from storage to Bob Stone's panel shop, and he really did not want to do my FJ, but he didn't realise that the other FJs that he'd gotten to do from our little buying group, were basket cases, whereas this was not a basket case. This was nearly ready for paint. So I spent 2 weeks down there on my holidays. I had pneumonia and I worked like a Trojan to get this done, and it was a case of painting it on the last day. And I literally did all the work myself down there. It was good to do it under direction. There was a little bit they did to help me, and in the end I said to Bob, like, what do I owe you? And he just went into his notebook and he's like, he goes, for $320. So I just handed over the $320 and said thank you, and off we went. Put it on the car trailer, brought it home, and there was some other things. I took it to Enio's, had the brakes done, but I took it to Enio's after I took the car to Wilf. So yeah, look, getting it done. I was able to do a bit at a time. Like, for instance, I'd been to Dulux school to learn how to paint, but then I had like a break of 3-4 years of not having a gun in my hand. So I'd start off, I'd paint a glove box lid, and then I'd do a speedo head. And after I'd done the speedo head, well, then I could do the spare wheel well, to paint that for the spare wheel, that the number plate goes onto. And then I would paint the steering wheel, and then after I'd done the steering wheel, then I'd paint the 5 wheels. And then after the 5 wheels, I'd paint the radiator, the lower baffle panel, which is the grill panel in front of the radiator. And then, be ready for the guards and the doors. So really all I needed Bob to help me with was to shoot the shell. So which is why the cost was so low, $320 to paint a car. Really, I was only paying for his time just to shoot the shell with me. So that was fine. Loaded it all up, took it home, bolted things together. Basil came over, as he does every single time I do things, and he helped me put things together, put doors together, put the rubbers in and stuff like that. And then I took it to Wilf's. Wilf installed the Bailey channel, put the windows in for me, put the windscreens in for me, made a tonneau cover, made the interior trim, and not all the bitumen board and kick panels and stuff like that. I did all that, but he did a beautiful job for me. Like, I literally came back. I beat everybody. It was really nice. I enjoyed it. And so it was good for that car's first outing, and really starting it in May, in the winter, May and June. I finished it fully put together, got it registered on the 16th of December, around the 16th, and that gave me a week and a half to prove it. And then I worked on it till 4 a.m. Christmas morning, and then left at 10 a.m. on Christmas morning to drive to Dubbo that night, and then from the next night from Dubbo to Melbourne, stayed at Melbourne, and then drove to where the Nationals were being held at Bacchus Marsh. So that was that car's first outing. It performed really well. People loved it. They loved the amount of NASCO accessories that were on it, and here I was at its first day of showing the car in 1990, and in 2016 I think Gary reached out to me and said, "Oh, Jules, I've got a couple of photos of your car the first day it came out. Can I send them to you?" So it was so nice to sort of get input from somebody else 25 years after the fact. But it looked lovely car, and I had that car from 81 through till about 1999, and I ended up trading it in, which was really crazy, because it was such a well-engineered motor car, and it ended up with Kevin Petter in South Australia, and that's sort of the last that I've heard of it. Tried to contact him a few times, but haven't been able to speak to the guy. So it's now an Adelaide car, but look, was a really good ute. Allowed me to do lots of things. I went to a couple of nationals in it. It allowed me to gymkhana successfully in stock class to 4 wins at state titles, and we, gee whiz, I also, got one of the national gymkhanas in stock class as well. So you just need somewhere to start, but sometimes you need something really good to get you going, because if you buy a basket case, it can just take too long. So it was really good that I had something good to start with, and it allowed me to learn as I went, because I started from a very low base. And like a lot of things, you learn something new every single day, but you also have to do at least one thing a day to get things finished. But that is the story of the FJ Ute, and how I got it, and what I did with it, and what happened, and where it went to. Go and have a look at what we're doing at Jive Talking Garage on Facebook, but also see all the rest of our videos that are on YouTube. So don't forget to share, like and subscribe, but more importantly, enjoy your Holden.